In the
development sector at BMW, we set great value on driving dynamics, on sheer driving pleasure. We aim for the ideal compromise between maximum driving pleasure and high safety, combined with maximum comfort. In order to retrieve these characteristics on a customer's car after a repair job, we need quality wheel alignment and chassis setting. If we don't get it right when we measure a customer's car, our customer will be disappointed. It might start with a tilted steering wheel or an unsatisfactory directional stability. It might go on into the driving dynamics. In an extreme case, due to an incorrect job in chassis setting, a BMW might lose its typical BMW driving characteristics.
Im Extremfall erreichen wir, dass durch eine schlechte Fahrwerkseinstellung ein BMW nicht mehr fährt wie ein BMW. Zum Gesamtsystem Achsenmessstand.
In a complete wheel alignment unit, you have a wheel alignment device and a precisely serviced vehicle hoist with the corresponding rotary tables. This vehicle hoist here weighs about 1.5 tons. The car on top can weigh another 2.5 tons. We're talking 4 tons overall weight here.
Wir reden hier von 4 Tonnen Gesamtgewicht. Our
requirement is a maximum height difference between the wheel positioning points of 1 millimeter from front to rear.
Maximal 1 Millimeter in der Höhe betragen dürfen. Und über die Fahrzeugbreite
and 0.5 millimeter across.
Dies wird durch den soliden
This can be ensured by a solid 4-post hoist design with appropriate supports.
Ein wichtiges Bauteil der Hebebühne.
An important element of the vehicle hoist is the solid equalizer bar, which is a defining factor for the stability and torsional stiffness of the hoist. The vehicle hoist has to be set accurately at 2 independent heights. In the lower position, the hoist rests on the support bolts. This is how you do the initial measurement.
In der oberen Position,
in the upper position in which you do the chassis setting, the vehicle hoist is supported by accurately crafted perforated strips.
Damit alle Fahrzeuge der BMW Group
in order to comfortably accommodate all the vehicles of the BMW Group, a minimum rail length of 4.4 meters is necessary.
Die nutzbare Fahrschienenbreite,
the rails have to be at least 630 millimeters wide.
Das Komfortkit,
the comfort kit with equalizing pieces in different widths, permits adjusting the rotary tables to the wheelbases of all BMW Group vehicles.
Durch das BMW Lochbild,
the equalizing pieces can be firmly secured using the BMW hole pattern.
Bei der BMW Group verwenden wir zwei.
The BMW Group uses 2 different types of wheel alignment devices, the CCD wheel alignment devices and the non-contact optical 3D wheel alignment devices.
Hier ist das KDS 2 der Firma Beissbarth.
This is the Beissbarth KDS 2, a CCD measuring system which uses the BMW wheel adapters. The actual measuring parts are the measuring heads which are fixed to the wheel. Another CCD measuring system is the Corgi KDS 2. It is consistent with the Beissbarth KDS 2. The Hunter KDS 2 is an optical 3D KDS measuring system. It also uses the BMW wheel adapters.
Es verwendet auch die BMW Schnellspannhalter, die sich an der Radnabe abstützen.
The adapters have to be handled with great care, since the tracer pins can be damaged very easily, even if you don't see any damage. Bent tracer pins cause serious measuring errors. For storing these pins, you have to use the brackets provided. Finally, this is the Beissbarth Easy 3D, an optical 3D device which uses magnetic adapters instead of the BMW wheel adapters. These use the wheel bolts as touch points. The reflectors have a great advantage, they're practically maintenance-free. Of course, you have to make sure they're clean so the device can detect them well, but apart from that, no other maintenance routines are necessary.
The
height level markers allow you to trace and check the car level during the whole measuring process. Based on the readings of the 4 level markers, the measuring system works out the reference values for track and camber at exactly these levels for all 4 wheels. This is important because the camber of BMW axles largely depends on the height level.
Dadurch, dass die Reflektoren an den Radschrauben sich abstützen, geben sie natürlich nicht den
Since the
idealen
reflectors
Drehwinkel
use the
des
wheel
Rades
bolts as
weiter.
touch points,
Aus diesem Grund
they
ist ein
don't give you the
Anrollen
ideal
vordergrund
rotation
notwendig.
angle of the wheel.
Aus dem
For this
das
reason, you
Gerät
have to
dann
let the
wiederum
measuring
die
device determine the
tatsächliche
ideal
ideale
rotation
Drehachse des
axis
Rades
first.
ermittelt. Zum Arbeitsplatz Hebebühne.
For a complete vehicle hoist, you need the corresponding rotary tables on which the car can rest so that the car, or rather the chassis, is in a completely tensionless state. It is important that the rotary tables have low breakaway torque and displacement force. At the same time, the rotary plates, with the car on top, have to be able to move freely so that they can use their play of plus or minus 50 mm from the center. For a quality chassis setting, you need the right equipment and you need to maintain it accordingly. Especially the rotary tables need to be taken care of. In order to achieve the very low displacement force and breakaway torque, you need to give them good care and attention. Special mats can be placed on the rotary tables, which prevent water, sand and other particles from entering. It goes without saying that the most recent chassis reference values have to be used at all times. What we'd like to demonstrate here is the direct relationship between the maintenance quality of the vehicle hoist and the quality of the chassis setting. If you lift up one rail on one side, you get a representation of a non-leveled vehicle hoist. This results in the car sliding to one side of the rail. The chassis is under tension. In this experiment, we're lifting one wheel positioning point by 5 millimeters. In a real car, this might mean that the car is wrongly identified as OK in setting mode, although in reality the chassis is shifted and needs correcting. In the case of a customer car, this would mean that the customer visits the workshop and complains about poor directional stability or a tilted steering wheel. If the car is then measured on an inappropriately maintained vehicle hoist, the technician might find that the car is seemingly within the tolerance levels. We know from our calculations that, for example, on these chassis elements here, the suspension arms, readings of several hundred Newton can be reached. In our experiment, we're simulating a very basic fault, a tilted rail lifted on one side. In a real hoist, you might get combined faults, like both rails being tilted to one side. Or both rails could be tilted inwardly, which makes the car appear centered and standing freely, but in reality the car's chassis is under tension.